Okay, so before we begin with this doesn't take segment, we are going to begin with a goofball. Okay, so first we will begin with this goofball. Okay, so first we're going to begin with this goofball of a man. His name is Xavier or Alexander, and he made a video about, quote, gender affirming care on minors. So let's check out the video and we can fact check it further. I really don't like watching videos like this, but you know what? We will. Okay?
There is no surgical intervention happening to transgender children to change their sex. This is simply not happening. Here are the actual facts. Fact: medical professionals are not giving puberty blockers to children who have not reached puberty. Fact.
Okay, hold on. We're gonna stop you right there. You said that medical professionals are not giving puberty blockers to children that have not reached puberty. Well, duh. Why would you give puberty blockers to people that have not hit puberty yet? God, it's so stupid. I swear. Duh. Let's resume.
Puberty blockers are fully reversible. Fact.
Hold on right there. Like I said, you keep giving these quote facts so fast that you don't even give people time to actually take in this quote facts that you're giving. So let's just say that puberty blockers are reversible. Where did you get this information from? Because we don't know if they are or they are not. We don't know because they just came out 5 seconds ago for widespread use. How can you say that you know the long-term side effects of something that came out 5 seconds ago? You cannot. Let's resume.
Hormone treatments don't generally begin until after 16 years of age. Fact.
Wait a second. Did you just say that hormone treatments don't generally begin until 16 years of age? Let me just say this loud and clear so you can hear me. 16 years old kids are minors. Duh. Let's resume.
Sex reassignment surgery is considered at 18 based on making certain criteria. Fact.
Wait a second. I think that is the only fact that you said so far through this whole entire video, but you just brush it off. Yeah, 18 years old, that is perfectly okay. This is a free country. Now, even though I do not agree with it, it is still your right to do so once you're 18. If you're not 18, do not do this. You do not know what you're doing, and you're being pressured into doing a lot of the stuff that you're gonna do when you're younger. Let's resume.
Affirming care is life-saving care.
Oh, wait a second. Did you just say that life-saving care is gender-affirming care or vice versa, whatever you said? So let's just say this. What did society do before this gender-affirming care, which isn't even gender-affirming? It is affirming a gender that you are not. Before, what did you do? Did you just die? Did you just die out in the open before 5 seconds ago when this was invented? No, you didn't just die out of nowhere. No, it doesn't make any sense at all because you didn't just die because you didn't have gender-affirming care. You're pretending as though this is killing people, in which it is not. Now, let's resume with the rest of the video. Now, I'm not sure if there is any more of this video.
Share this post to spread facts.
Oh, spread facts. You're not spreading any facts, okay, at all. Now, let's resume with the mainstream news, even though they're not more reliable than this person on TikTok. So, with CNN, we have what to know as states keep counting with key races hanging in the balance. So, CNN, key races to determine control of the Senate in Arizona and Nevada have yet to be called as both states race to count hundreds and thousands of ballots that have not yet been processed. It may take hours or days before enough ballots are counted in those states to determine who won the Senate and gubernatorial races in both states. There also still is many key congressional races uncalled in California and Colorado that will determine what the House looks like, and when the new Congress is seated in January. The unofficial results and lingering uncertainty about who will control Congress next year hasn't prevented Republican apprehension about the election results, where an expected Republican wave never materialized, in which I'm very upset about, by the way. The lackluster GOP results have raised new questions about the House GOP leader Kevin McCarthy's path to speakership and added a new layer to the looming 2024 feud between President Donald Trump and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Here's what you should know as the counting continues. We're going to stop you right there. So before we just neglect the fact of there's a looming 2024 feud between President Trump. Listen, we can talk about 2024 after 2022 midterms. Okay, everybody's talking about the 2024. Oh, what's going to happen in 2024? How about we get to 2024 when we get to 2024? Why do we want to talk about 2024 and 2022 where we have this midterm election in which everything that we hoped, everything that we prayed for has not materialized? Why are we going to sit here and talk about 2024? It just doesn't make sense. So, I mean, honestly, who would I vote for? And this is the question. Who would I vote for if Trump and Ron DeSantis ran as president in 2024? Who will I vote for? Well, Ron DeSantis, of course, because Ron DeSantis is predictable for his own good. He's not going to go and attack somebody, but then the day after support them. And then he's not going to go and be a one-man show. Ron DeSantis actually supported other candidates within his district by giving them a lot of money and by making sure that their race actually won. Donald Trump, on the other hand, endorsed you as a candidate, spent a little bit of money as he endorsed you, and then that's it. That's all you heard of Trump in your race. That's it. At the very beginning, and that's it. He just dipped and he said, no, never mind. Also, he is very egotistical, Donald Trump is, and he blames other people for his mistake. One example being, he had an interview with Candace Owens, and he said in the interview that he supports the vaccine, obviously, because he came out with the vaccine, and Candace Owens said, well, I want to stop you right there because a lot of people are questioning the vaccine and they're scared of the vaccine. They don't want to take the vaccine. What do you have to say to this? And he kept pushing the vaccine and kept pushing the vaccine and kept pushing the vaccine until people said, no, we're mad at you, Trump. Trump got mad at Candace Owens. How would he get mad at Candace Owens for airing an interview in which he said something that people do not agree with? It just doesn't make any sense. Why are you going to get mad at somebody if you're the one that said it? It doesn't make any sense. Now, we're going to just go past the CNN article so I don't stay on an article for too long here. Let's go on to the next article from CNN. We have Merritt Oz did something that shouldn't be remarkable after his loss. Now, if it's not remarkable, why are you even talking about it? It doesn't make any sense. A lot of things don't make sense in this world, I guess. According to CNN, at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, Wednesday, Merritt Oz did something that used to be regular. He called John Fetterman to concede the Pennsylvania Senate race. And then he released a statement saying, in part, we are facing big problems as a country, and we need everyone to put down their partisan swords and focus on getting the job done. With bold leadership that brings people together, we can create real change, which is gracious and kind of in the sort of thing that was once accepted part of campaigns, especially losing ones. Oh, okay. So the fact that they are really focusing on this little detail is because they want to bash Trump. In the very next sentence, they said, but not in this moment, but that is not the moment we are in, especially for candidates like Oz who were endorsed and promoted by former President Trump. Of course, Trump, orange man, bad. That's what CNN just keeps saying. So they just want to say, oh, orange man bad, but they have no reasons on why they hate him. I have real reasons why I dislike Trump. I would love for him to run again if it was just him. I'm saying if Trump versus Ron DeSantis, that was my thoughts on that, but that was my example that I was giving. Now, let's just resume with a dozen takes with this MSNBC article. We have Ron DeSantis for president. Not so fast. Not so fast, MSNBC says. The Florida governor's victory was impressive, but no guarantor of a successful 2024 bid. Oh my God. Let's see what you have to say about my Ron DeSantis. So Republicans massively underperformed expectations in the midterm election, but there was a notable expectation to the trend. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' re-election. DeSantis didn't just clobber his Democratic opponent, Florida Governor Charlie Crist, by about 20 points. He also carried 62 out of 67 counties, secured an astonishing win in Miami-Dade, which was once considered a Democratic stronghold, and performed especially well in areas with big Latino populations. Republican political strategists instantly processed DeSantis' strong performance through a 2024 lens, a proven ability to win over urban voters and Latinos, and an eye-catching asset for any presidential run. DeSantis' win shone even brighter because it happened at the same time President Trump had a lackluster night. A number of Trump's high-profile endorsed candidates failed to deliver, and the electorate displayed an apparent hesitation to embrace MAGA politicians, despite Biden's low approval ratings and highly visible inflation, which is very, very sad, by the way. If MSNBC is kicking you while you're down, it's pretty funny, but also very, very sad. It's the fact that we lost so much. We were supposed to have a big wave, and like I said at the beginning, we had a little splash on the small, not so deep side of the pool. Very, very, very sad. Now, let's dig into the next article we have. Okay, so the next article we have from MSNBC, we have after earning a third term, Ron Johnson can't even win gracefully. Ron Johnson made clear that he wasn't prepared to lose gracefully, evidently, and he didn't believe in winning gracefully either. Oh, let's see what they say. As the year got underway, Oaklish Corporation, a Wisconsin-based company, announced plans to create plenty of new manufacturing jobs in South Carolina. Wisconsin Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin immediately went to work trying to keep these jobs in their home state. The state's other senator, Republican Ron Johnson, said he didn't much care. It's not like we don't have enough jobs here in Wisconsin, the GOP lawmaker said. These were times in 2022 where Johnson particularly seemed to be daring voters to reject him. It was as if he was conducting a real-life political science experiment, testing the limits of how far a politician could go and still get reelected in a competitive battleground state. The incumbent didn't just thumb his nose at economic development in his own state, he also concocted a weird conspiracy theory about the FBI, which he foolishly claimed that he had tried to set him up. Johnson moved sharply to the right on Social Security and Medicare, endorsing a plan that would put the programs in jeopardy. His January 6 antics made the Republican a national laughing stock. He didn't even commit to accepting the legitimacy of Wisconsin's election results. With just a few weeks remaining in the cycle, an editorial board of Milwaukee Journal Sentinel published a thorough takedown of Johnson's career, adding that the far-right incumbent is the worst Wisconsin's political representative since the infamous Senator Joseph McCarthy. And yet, Johnson won anyway, overcoming his embarrassing record in lack of accomplishment, defeating Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes by a single percentage point, even as Wisconsin's Democratic Governor Tony Evers seamlessly won re-election by a wider margin. The GOP senator, who occasionally seemed as if he was trying to lose nonetheless, earned a third term, at which point Johnson whined some more. So the conservative Washington Times reported yesterday Senator Ron Johnson blasted his state opponent Mandela Barnes for a long wait to concede the race clear when it was clearly breaking for the incumbent. It's not that Barnes refused to accept the results, it's that Johnson was bothered by the fact that Barnes didn't concede fast enough to satisfy the senator. The Republican also slammed the corporate media for not calling the race as quickly as he would have liked. Last night, Johnson appeared on Fox News, thanked Sean Hannity for the most crucial campaign support. Remember this guy who didn't come up short on election day? Johnson made clear that he wasn't prepared to lose gracefully. Evidently, he doesn't believe in winning peacefully either, according to MSNBC. Again, the thing is that they say, oh, he's a bad guy because he's Republican. Listen, the thing is, it doesn't matter because none of this even matters that you even said because of the fact that you didn't prove yourself at all. You didn't prove why you think the way that you think. So therefore, I don't believe you. According to the next article we have NPR, a transgender beauty influencer was put in a man's jail cell after her arrest in Miami. Oh, her arrest. No, it's his arrest. Listen, we're going to go by your pronoun. We're going to go by your gender, your sex and gender, same thing. This is what you are. You cannot change who you are because you put on a dress, you put on some makeup, or you cut off your private part. It doesn't change your gender. It doesn't. You cannot change your DNA. You cannot change your genetic structure within your body. You cannot change your heart. You cannot change your brain. Every single part of you, every single inch, every single centimeter of you is made up of X, Y, or XX chromosome. That's just it. You cannot change who you are. If you were born a man, you cannot change the fact that you are a man. You cannot change the fact that you are a lady. You cannot change anything relating to your genetics. So that's just that. So they are going based off of what you really are. You're not really a lady. You can never be a lady. But again, Nikita Dragon, an influencer and content creator, was arrested and held in a man's unit of a Miami jail this week, court records show. Dragon, who is a transgender woman, creates content on YouTube. Her videos have well over 250 million views, and Instagram, where she has 9 million followers. She discusses her gender identity openly and covers her lifestyle and beauty tricks in her videos. His. He also founded a makeup company called Dragon Beauty. Dragon was held in a men's unit of the correctional center in Miami over an incident this week. He's facing charges of misdemeanor, disorderly conduct, and felony battery of a law enforcement officer, or records show. After being jailed for just 1 day, he has since been released at his own reckonance, meaning he didn't have to pay bail. Dragon was arrested after allegedly causing a disturbance and walking around Good Time Hotel pool naked, according to local 10 News. Hotel security staff reportedly told Dragon to stop, and she threw water at them. Police were called and they arrived to his room, and told Dragon to stop. She threw water at them again, and this is when I lost my track. Okay, so police were called and arrived at her room, where security staff again told her to stop disturbing patrons at the hotel, or she would have to leave. He would have to leave. Okay, this is just annoying so far. Dragon allegedly then threw an open water at a security guard and police officer, hitting them and covering them in water. Representatives of Dragon criticized how Miami police handled his incarceration. They didn't comment specifically on the charges she is facing. The situation with Nikita, who is legally female, being placed in a man's unit of Florida jail is extremely disturbing and dangerous. How's it dangerous? How's it disturbing? I don't hear anything, because it's not. According to Jack Carter's son, a representative for Dragon with full scope public relations, this decision was made by the Miami-Dade County Corrections Department, directly violates their protocol, which mandates that transgender inmates are classified and housed based on safety needs and gender identity. Nikita was released and is now safe. I just don't know what world NPR is on. Dragon's arrest and incarceration in a man's unit are notable given her statute, but it's a common occurrence for many trans individuals incarcerated in the United States. In practice, many corrections departments place individuals in facilities according to their assigned sex at birth or genitalia at the time that they are arrested. Assigned sex at birth. What are you talking about? I'm just not on the same world that you're on, and I just do not understand anything that you're saying. Assigned sex at birth. Now take a step back for a moment. Okay, Simon says take a step back. Okay, Simon says to analyze what this means. What does this actually mean? Sex assigned at birth. Okay, sex assigned at birth. Sex assigned at birth. Nobody assigned to you a sex. You are born as a sex. You are born as a man. You are born as a woman. Okay, you're born as a boy, or you're born as a girl. Okay, those are the two genders or sexes that you can be born as. You're not born as somebody else. You're not born as a elephant. You're not born as a computer. You're not born as any of those. So why do you think that you are assigned something at birth? You're not. You are not. Moving on to the next article, we have from Fox News, Biden vows to work with Republicans who have good ideas, but not on some issue. This is the headline right here. So, according to Fox News, President Biden vowed Thursday to work with Republicans who have, quote, good ideas, but listed several issues that he considers non-negotiable. Biden made the comments during a Democratic National Committee event in Washington, D.C., following Tuesday's midterm elections, in which he says fared well for Democrats. The president said that while he prepared to work with Republicans, he also added that the American people want Republicans to work with him, regardless of what the final tally showed. I'm prepared to work with Republicans, but the American people have made it clear that they expect Republicans to work with me as well, Biden said. And folks, I'll always be open to any good ideas, whether it's Democrat or Republican, to move the country forward. The comments came as a balance of power in Congress remained undecided, but Biden said that there are several reasons on why he's not willing to compromise with Republicans. I've also made it very clear that Republicans tried to repeal the power we just gave Medicare to reduce prescription drugs costs. I will veto it. I will not let that happen. If Republicans try to walk away from my historic commitment, we just made a deal with the climate crisis. I will not let that happen. And the thing is that he can do this because we don't have enough to overthrow his veto. So he can do this. If Republicans try to come out and cut Social Security, Medicare, I will not let it happen. If they try to cut taxes for the super wealthy again, the biggest corporations, like they did in the last administration, I will not let that happen either. Okay, let me stop you right here, Joey. Let me just stop you right there. Nobody is cutting taxes for the super wealthy. What the last administration, as what you did say, did was cut taxes for every single corporation. What we can actually go back and see that small businesses actually really did benefit from the tax code imposed by Trump, which was the last administration. We can actually look at this solely off of the data, but we can also look at this based off of my story. My parents own a small business, and we benefited personally off of the tax cuts for corporations because we have a corporation. This just makes me very, very mad that people or the president of the free world can actively say things about this quote fact that is not right at all. Now, moving on to the next article, we have Twitter turmoil continues under Musk, triggering FTC warning. So the federal agency issued a statement following more departures of top Twitter executives as a leaked internal message. So the Federal Trade Commission fired a warning shot at Twitter on Thursday, signaling that the agency is poised to crack down on the platform over privacy concerns as chaos continues on the social media giant amid rapid-fire changes implemented by a new owner, Elon Musk. Twitter was fined $150 million by the FTC in May, months before Musk took over. And new developments Thursday apparently garbled the agency's full intention. The Verge obtained a Slack message sent by the lawyer on Twitter's privacy team to all employees, informing them that the company's chief informational security officer, Leah Kirstner, chief privacy officer, Dean Kurian, and chief compliance officer, Maureen Borgnay, had all resigned. Kissner confirmed her resignation in a tweet. The lawyer went on to lambaste Musk's actions since taking over in recent months, saying Elon Musk has shown that his only priority with Twitter users is how to monetize them. Yes, that's the point of him taking over, because Twitter doesn't make any money. Twitter's not making any money until Elon Musk comes over and he says, you know what, I'm going to actually make this company some money so, they can survive. Wow, who would have guessed? The company needs to make money to survive. Wow. Moving on to the next article, we have Breitbart. Man arrested after biting pro-life activist in the neck. Okay, well, I didn't know we were vampires now. A man was arrested in Belfast after biting a steward at a pro-life protest in the neck, a report has claimed. A protest held by Northern Ireland pro-life organization Precious Life was disrupted last week after a man injured one activist attending the event by biting him on the neck, a report has claimed. The Saturday rally was reportedly held to commemorate the 4,136 unborn babies aborted in the region since the procedure was legalized by politicians in London. According to a report by Irish news website Ripped Media, the unnamed man has been attempting to disrupt a speech by the director of Precious Life, Barnett Smith, before allegedly biting the steward. The man, who had a small child with him, continuously made the gesture of a twirling motion at his finger to his head and pointing at Miss Smith and loudly telling the young child that Miss Smith was crazy. A statement in the incident released by the pro-life group on Wednesday read, the group then describes the disruption as escalating after a steward tried to intervene and calm the man. Eventually, a female steward, fearful that Miss Smith may be attacked, approached the man and politely asked him to stop with his antagonistic behavior, the group claimed. The man immediately launched into an assault and at the female steward by trying to grab her placered and shouting abuse at her. What is shouting abuse? Shouting abuse at her. Okay. A male steward then intervened and placed himself between the assailant and the woman to prevent him from attacking her. The statement continued. The assailant then began shouting at the male steward. As the steward tried to restrain him, the assailant viciously bit the steward on the neck. Police rushed to intervene and the assailant was arrested and laid away in handcuffs, the group went to say. Footage uploaded by the group appears to show the incident as described, with an unknown man with a child screaming at the child, "Get out of my face," before leaning into his neck. Precious Life describes their steward of being shaken after the incident, requiring hospital treatment for what is described as a large bite mark on his neck. So this is just crazy. Like, what are they, vampires now? People are turning into vampires because they love abortion so much. Just stupid. The next article we have from Breitbart, we have Elvira actress Karstina Peterson leaves Twitter until Elon Musk reinstates human rights and ethics team. But why? And again, but why? You know what? I don't even care. Who are you? I don't even know who you are. It doesn't even matter at all. Leave. Bye. Nobody's gonna miss you. Going into the next article, we have Daily Wire from Daily Wire. Pro-pediatric gender transition dog gets slammed by media professionals for, quote, false claims. So, a key witness who testified on behalf of a pediatric gender-affirming care in Florida Joint Medical Board Committee made a series of false and misleading claims, according to a global group of medical professionals. The Florida Boards of Medicine held a joint meeting last month to evaluate the evidence for gender-affirming care for minors in the state, hearing expert testimony from medical doctors for both and against the practice. Dr. Medere McNama, who testified in favor of the controversial protocol, was fact-checked by an international group of more than 100 clients and researchers called the Society for Evidence-Based Gender Medicine. Last week, child and adolescent physician Dr. McLaughlin pledged in front of Florida's medical board to provide a truthful account in pediatric gender medicine, said SEGM in a tweet thread on Tuesday. She then falsely claimed that a key evidence report by the board relied on was invalid, and it was written by a dentist. What? That's the most crazy turn of events that you can actually... It is this doctor that you're saying is a doctor is actually a dentist. It's crazy. What the hell is going on with this world? Moving on to the next article, we have from Daily Wire. We have Clueless Joe takes exactly the wrong message out of 2022 midterms. So Democrats will lose control of the House of Representatives and could well lose the state. Why? Americans are fed up with soaring inflation, skyrocketing food and gas prices, out of control crime, and the ongoing crisis at the southern border. Now, Republicans didn't pull off this massive margin predicted by pollsters. How did these guys get it so wrong every time? But they will take over the House and slam the brakes on the president's runaway spending train. But clueless Joe Biden on Wednesday revealed that he got exactly the wrong message out of the midterm elections. You mentioned that Americans are frustrated, a reporter said during a White House presser. And in fact, 75% of voters say the country is heading in the wrong direction, despite the results of last night. What in the next 2 years do you intend to do differently to change people's opinion of the direction of the country, particularly as you contemplate a run for president in 2024? Nothing, because they're just finding out what you are doing. Biden said, the more they know about what we're doing, the more support there is. So I'm not going to change the direction, Biden said. I'm not going to change anything in any fundamental way. We're just getting started. While the president and the pundits are predicting a giant red wave, it didn't happen. But Joe, you lost. Your party lost the House and maybe the Senate. Sure, the red wave turned into a pink trickle, but you still lost. Clearly, he has not looked at the exit polls, which showed that Americans are furious about inflation, but Democrats were able to stem losses because voters opposed the candidates handpicked by former President Trump, many who claimed that the 2020 election was stolen from him. Here's how the Associated Press put it. About half of voters say inflation factored significantly in their votes, as groceries, gasoline, housing, food, and other costs have shot up in the past year and raised the specter of inflation. The economy was an overarching concern for voters, about 8 in 10 of whom say it was in a bad shape. A slim majority of voters say Biden's policies caused inflation to be near 40-year highs. Biden's approval ratings have been in the dumper for months, and a pre-election poll by the Associated Press found that 85% of Americans felt that the country was headed in the quote wrong direction. A majority of Republicans have been unhappy with the direction of the country since Biden's election. Democrats have been positive about how things were going, but now 78% of them say the country is headed in the wrong direction, the poll said. Biden got extremely lucky that this party didn't lose 40 seats in the House and 5 to 7 seats in the Senate. Despite his crushing loss in 2020, Trump remained the titular head of the party, but except for the deepest red states, nearly every candidate Trump backed lost. And Trump picked big-time losers in winnable races, most of whom were election deniers, claiming Trump actually won in 2020. Voters simply said, nuh-uh. Biden spent the waning days running against Trump, claiming democracy will die if Trump-backed candidates win. But that's not the reason Democrats stemmed the losses. Terrible candidates like Trump endorsed Dr. Mary Oz in Pennsylvania were. Trump was also a big loser on Tuesday, and Florida run DeSantis the big winner. But Biden needs to understand that he's likely facing DeSantis, not Trump, in 2024. And if he doesn't change something, he's going to get squashed like a bug. The news expressed in this article do not necessarily resemble. Okay, so again, I love this article. I love the Daily Wire in general, but I love this article because it says exactly what is the truth. It says exactly what is the truth, because Trump did not win the 2020 election. I'm sorry, he did not. Okay, we cannot say that he won. We cannot. The thing is that situations happen that make us question the election. It does not make us forget about the election. It does not make us neglect the election. It makes us question the election. This is exactly what we need to keep in mind. So according to the AP, late counted Arizona votes will decide winners in key races. So Phoenix and Arizona, a key question hangs over the more than 600,000 ballots. Where is it? Oh, okay. Left to be tailored in Arizona. Do they look like the state? I don't like this. To be tallied in Arizona. Do they look like the state's late counted 2020 ballots that are overwhelmingly went to Republicans, or break down more than the 2018 midterms, when Democrats won most of them, the answer will determine who wins extremely tight races for the United States Senate and House, as well as governor, Secretary of State, and Attorney General. At stake are control for Congress in the rules for the 2024 presidential election in a crucial battleground state. The races remained too early to call for 2 days after midterm election, with about a quarter of ballots still left to count. Former President Trump lies about the 2020 election have rejigged voting patterns across the country, and especially in Arizona, which has played a starring role in the conspiracy theories suggesting that the outcome was tainted. But here's the thing: the outcome in 2020 was not stolen; it was manipulated. The New York Times or the New York Post, whatever, I think it was the New York Times, actually came out with a statement in which I read live for all of you guys on my old show, Don't Trust What You See. If you do want to see it, look for Don't Trust What You See show on Rumble. I did read the whole entire New York Times article. Now, we are going to look right past that because they actually admitted to manipulating the general public into voting for who they wanted to vote for. Now, it was not stolen, it was manipulated, and that's how I would put it, and that's the best way that we can possibly put it. Now, according to this other AP article, we have tropical storm Nicole sends beachfront homes into the ocean. That's crazy. See, like I said, natural disasters are a very, very, very sad thing when it happens, and it's a very, very, very small percentage of it actually happening. But when it does, we hear it, we see it, and we feel it. So these are the pictures. It's just very sad just seeing all of this. It really is sad. It's just devastating seeing all these people. It's devastating seeing all these houses, bridges collapse. It's just too much. And this is the second time this year that Florida has been hit with a hurricane. But again, Florida is a hurricane state. So I mean, we have to remember that at the end of the day. Getting into the last article we have from the Federalist. So the case against Mitch McConnell for leader. This is from the Federalist. I actually love the Federalist, but let's dig in. So Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell is making a play for another term in leadership after he sabotaged chances for the GOP majority. This is according to the Federalist. Let's see what they say. So Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell is making a play for another term in leadership next week, while control of upper chambers remains in the balance after the Kentucky's lawmakers' chess game sabotaged chances for the GOP majority. In September, McConnell integrated the fall midterms by undermining Republicans in key races when the GOP Senate chief complained of candidate quality. I think there's a probably greater likelihood of the House flips than the Senate, McConnell said on Fox News just before Labor Day, the unofficial start of fall campaign season. Senate races are just different. They're statewide. Candidate quality has a lot to do with some of the outcome. Mitch McConnell's money prioritized allies, not majority. Mitch McConnell super PAC. The Senate Leadership Fund went on to gut desperately needed campaign cash from conservative candidates in Arizona and New Hampshire who refused to kiss the ring of Washington's monarch. In Arizona, McConnell axed $18 million from the race where Republican venture capitalist Blake Masters sought to bring down a well-funded Democrat incumbent. While the Masters race remains too close to call, General Don Boulder in New Hampshire was comfortably defeated by Democratic Senator Maggie Hassan, who captured a second term despite multiple polls showing the Republican within the margins of error. Boulder was similarly abandoned by the GOP leader with $5.6 million cut from the contest. Both Bullock and Masters signaled support for another candidate to lead the Senate conference if elected to the upper chamber. Mitch McConnell took money from a competitive pickup contest and redirected sources into Alaska, Colorado, the former featuring a race between two Republicans and the latter featuring a candidate who alienated the base. However, has become the routine practice for Mitch McConnell, who boasts a lower favorability rating than President Joe Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, the House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. In other words, Mitch McConnell is the most unpopular politician in the country, a fact Democrats used to their advantage in this election cycle, villainizing Mitch McConnell as the new GOP boogeyman. And that's their words, not mine. It wasn't just former President Trump that Democrats ran against, it was Mitch McConnell. And Mitch McConnell ran just as hard against Republicans who threatened his perch in leadership. Alaska, Mitch McConnell's PAC spent more than $6 million to boost Republican Senator Lisa Murdoch over the state party's endorsed challenger Kelly Tshibaka. The spending that could have benefited tight races to pick up seats in Arizona and New Hampshire instead earned Mitch McConnell a former censor by the Alaska Republican Party for Senate leaders intra-party interference. Meanwhile, in Colorado, Republican Construction Executive Joe O'Deere, who benefited from $1.25 million from Mitch McConnell's money, lost 11 points with 88% of precincts reporting. Mitch McConnell surrendered to the Biden agenda. While Republicans ran on a platform hammering crime and inflation with few skeptics, Mitch McConnell handled Democrats' major wins during President Joe Biden's first 2 years in office. In August, Federalist senior contributor Chris Jacobs outlined 3 big boulders showing Mitch McConnell isn't the legislative genius he thinks he is. Mitch McConnell captionated 2 Democrats on raising the debt limit, passed the colonial infrastructure package with items that have nothing to do with infrastructure, and subpoenaed the CHIPS Act, corrupted by corporate special interest. For someone who held up the legislative genius / strategical mastermind, Mitch McConnell sure as has a run of flunkers lately. Jacobs wrote in his past summer, in reality, Schumer has outmaneuvered Mitch McConnell on most of the most important legislative packages during the 117th Congress. Mitch McConnell also worked with Democrats to secure a package of gun control legislation in June, littered with vague language about dating partner in red flag laws. Mitch McConnell's legacy on judges usurped by Schumer. Mitch McConnell's defenders in the upper chamber often highlight the Senate leader's strategic wins, fundamentally transforming the judge at his legacy. After all, it was under Mitch McConnell that now Attorney General Merrick Garland's 2016 Supreme Court nomination was ruined and ultimately replaced by Neil Gorsuch was confirmed in the first 100 days of the Trump presidency, followed by the confirmation by Justice Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett, all under McConnell's leadership steering the upper chamber in election years. Justice Barrett's confirmation within weeks of the President Biden's White House election in June, and now conservative majority on the nation's highest bench, overturned the last 5 decades president, inventing a so-called right to abortion in Roe v. Wade, marketing a generalizational achievement for the conservative movement. On the sidelines of the campaign event in Arizona last weekend, GOP Montana Senator Steve Durans praised McConnell's leadership for paving the way to the place of judge on the ballot in 2016. I look back in a masterful way Mitch McConnell navigated through the Merrick Garland nomination. Deans told the Federalist, by stopping that and waiting for another election was very helpful. I think to get President Trump elected with the conservative voters who know the Supreme Court was at stake. While Mitch McConnell's legacy on judges is one that the conservatives can debate, the Senate leader is on the verge of being unsupported by the successes of Democrats' 2 years in power. With the longest eventually divided Senate still going, Biden and Schumer have already set a torrid judicial opponent pace. Politico reported in October, basically trying Trump and McConnell's first 2 years of controlling the monarchy at 84 total lifetime judicial confirmations, albeit one less Supreme Court justice. Mitch McConnell also remains far from the only Republican in the upper chamber capable of confirming judges, an opportunity for new leadership. Next week, Senate Republicans will either vote to re-elect Mitch McConnell and maintain the status quo in Washington, or opt for a new leadership with a pulse to the conservative movement and some actual respect for the Republican voter. No rival candidates have announced plans to challenge Mitch McConnell, but Florida Senator Rick Scott stands out as a likely front-runner should one arise, and declined to rule out such a bid. In September, Scott responded to Mitch McConnell's August remarks about candidate quality with an op-ed in the Washington Examiner, admonishing the top Republican in the country for efforts to undermine GOP leaders. Ultimately, though, when you complain in layman that we have bad candidates, quote bad candidates, that you are really saying that you have a concept, that you have contempt for the voters who chose them, Scott wrote. And now we are at the heart of the matter. Much as Washington's chattering class disrespects and secretly, or not so secretly, loathes Republican voters. When leaders fail, others should step up throughout the midterm. Scott, who chaired the National Republican Senate Committee, stepped up and spent what resources NRSC could spare in states abandoned by Mitch McConnell. The NRSC dropped nearly $10 million behind Masters in Arizona, more than any other candidate in the cycle, and put nearly $3 million behind bolder. Below. The funding, however, remains short of the spending asked by each race by the top Republican in the country. So because of the fact that Mitch McConnell failed us as a country, we didn't have as big turnout as what we thought that we were going to have. And yes, I think that it is going to be Mitch McConnell's fault because of the fact that he is the one that is responsible for the Republican committee. Now, we are going to dig into the drama section, but before we do, I just wanted to remind everybody that 2024 is a couple years away, and I think that everybody should focus on 2022. With all of these stories out of the way, I want everybody to just know that there's a lot of things that are going to come out in the next coming days about this year's election, and I just plead with everybody to please look at the facts before reporting or before reading anything or before sharing anything. Just look at what you're sharing before sharing it, because you could be spreading something that doesn't even make any sense. A lot of people are saying that this year there was a lot of election fraud, and I'm going to be talking about this further in a future episode. But as of right now, I think that the election fraud, there's one situation in this country that there is a story going around at, and that is something that we're going to get out in a future video. So without further ado, let's get into the dramas. Hey, were you really going to click off this video before leaving a like and subscribing down below? Wow, so rude.